Okay, little preface to the conversation you're about to hear. When it starts, turn your volume way down. Some verbiage in here refers to socialism's promises as concrete facts, but the real, provable concrete facts are that the Communist Party USA, yes, that's a real party, has stated that their plans were to fundamentally change the United States through the Democratic Party. And it nearly pissed itself. It was so happy when Obama was nominated as the Democratic Party's presidential candidate. And they were so happy they openly endorsed Obama and actively campaigned for his election. You can find out all about what they believe by putting the following words in a Google search. And you can read for yourself how they believe, how much they believe in his communist agenda, and how they believe now that he's moving his communist agenda too slowly. Socialists now everywhere are denouncing Obama and the Democrats. Don't believe it. Read their other conversations where they reveal that they're also upset that Obama is not moving the communist agenda fast enough. This conversation you're going to hear here is between the communist Amsterdam 78 and myself on YouTube. The full exchange can be found here. The link is down below the video. We were originally arguing, and at one point I got him to agree to be civil and open. Now this conversation is the result. Keep in mind that socialism is, by necessity, pretentious. Socialists innately practice this pretense because they know that the truth is ugly. Therefore, they speak in terms of unverifiable outcomes, utopian visions of provision and prosperity, noble ideals, a peaceful and enthusiastic revolution, the evils of capitalism, and all discussions of the loss of freedom and property are diverted to promises of receiving something much better in exchange for it. It may sound as if Amsterdam 78 were speaking as though he thought he could bring socialism into existence by his own sheer will, but that's false. He's speaking as though it is a fact that socialism is coming. Socialists began this type of speech during the Obama election campaign online. The reason is because Obama is right now, all these people right now, are witnessing socialism coming into existence. When people like Glenn Beck are out there laying out who the socialists are, these people don't explain how they're not socialists. They just denounce Glenn Beck because they can't explain it. The fact is, socialism is ugly. It's an enforced ant-like communalism ruled by a power-hungry few who use the, quote, will of the people as an excuse for their control and the ultimate purging of all that they hate from the rest of humanity. If after examining history you think that these types of people don't exist everywhere in numbers among mankind, and that socialism isn't their main method to gaining power, you're either not paying attention or you're lying to yourself. Just listen to real socialist ideologues, not just what they say for your consumption. Listen to all that they say. Read what they're reading and study those they praise. They are misanthropists. They don't love anyone. All of their talk is against people who are happy, people who are prosperous, people who succeed, people who are strong, people who are courageous, people who love others, and people who love God. It's natural that such misanthropists, people who hate other human beings, become loyal to the ideology, the political ideology of putting everyone under massive and invasive authority, stripping them of all their possessions, forbidding their associations with people that help make them strong, stripping away their voice, their dignity, and their individuality, all under the excuse of equality. Why equality? Because by itself, it's a great idea. It stirred the Russians to kill the Tsar and bring the communists to power. And whatever any socialist can say about what they think is great about communism or Russia and the Soviet Union and how unfair America was to it or whatever, this is a fact. You want a concrete fact? The Soviets have since then been known as the people who never smile. That's good enough for me. Essentially, the concept of the world working together in unified purpose is very, very noble. That sounds great. Kumbaya, all that lovey-dovey stuff. When they preach, that's the idea they're trying to sell you. But this is only noble if Everyone does so by choice. If it's not by choice, then it's by force through fear. Nothing is more evil among mankind. All right, please notice how he uses democracy, socialism, and communism interchangeably. This conversation is a bit protracted, but it's necessary to get to the truth. I wasn't trying to argue with him. If I had, the conversation would have come to a very quick end. You can see how he's trying very hard to avoid saying what he eventually concedes to me. Don't miss part 2. It just becomes more and more revealing.
Well, first of all, I do not believe this capitalist imperialist government is socialist. That is propaganda. Since the start of labeling Democrats socialists, our numbers have risen 32%. I also say that the American dream is a myth. It all boils down to profits, and the haves and have-nots. Socialism seeks to give everyone a job, a living wage, healthcare, equality at home and in work.
Why do you boil capitalism down to the haves and have-nots? Why don't you boil socialism down to the takers and the taken from?
Because that is what capitalism boils down to. Nothing is being taken in socialism. It's about equality, freedom, and jobs, freeing the working class from the wage slave runaround. Everyone has a right to housing, a living wage, free healthcare and education. A secular education free from religious morality. Instead, one based on cooperation and workers' rights.
Okay, so, if America adopts full socialism, nothing will be taken from me?
No, nothing will be taken. In fact, by the looks of it, you will have a secure job, never have to worry about health bills, and if you live in a city, the infrastructure will grow, making cars give way to bicycles. There will be direct control by the workers, so you will have a say in where you work and your community at large. No more foreign wars either, draining our resources.
Let's stay away from the utopian ideals for a minute and stay focused. If I own a business, will I have to pay more taxes?
It depends on the business. Large conglomerates will pay hefty taxes, small independent businesses will pay less, and those are not utopian ideas, they are concrete facts. That is what socialism offers.
What I mean is, let's stay on one subject at a time. So, if my small company that now grosses $600,000 annually, and now pays approximately 26% in taxes on that amount, and my salary of $170,000 pays 19% in taxes, you are saying I will pay less than 26% and 19% respectively?
Those numbers would be decided by a council of workers, of which you would be a part. If you have to pay more in taxes, you get the money back through social services.
So, if this council raises my taxes, how do they get it from me?
The same as any taxes, they send the appropriate information to you, and you send them your taxes. A lot will be gathered through taxes in products and services, but all this will be done democratically through worker-controlled councils.
Could this council conceivably raise my taxes, even if I vote against it?
Of course, this is the reality of democracy, but you will never want for anything. Poverty and class distinctions will be eliminated. Money itself will eventually cease to exist.
What happens to me if I refuse to be part of the council of workers and won't pay whatever amount they vote to take from me?
You would be free to move to another country, but the taxes will be just as high wherever you move. It would be best for all if you stayed. No one will force you to be part of the councils, but that would be giving up your right to self-governance. As socialism takes hold, the idea of not being part of it would become unthinkable to you.
Let's focus, please. What happens if I refuse to let them take more taxes?
If you refuse to move and refuse to pay taxes, you would be sent to a re-education facility where you will learn cooperation and radical democracy. Once you have been educated about the reasons why you must pay, you will be released and life will move on.
And if I refuse to go to the facility, then what?
You would have 90 days to leave the country. Your business and funds will be confiscated for the people, but the state would pay for your air travel.
What happens if I refuse to leave and give up my business?
You wouldn't have a choice at that point.
There is always a choice. What if I refuse at that point?
You would be removed by local authorities and escorted to an airport or consulate of your choice.
What if I refuse to be removed and escorted by authorities?
You wouldn't have a choice at that point. If you resist arrest, all force would be used, and the result will be the same, deportation.
Force? You mean they would kill me if I refuse to go?
Non-lethal force. Probably as little as a taser or shot grenade. You would then be taken into custody and deported.
What if I refuse with greater force?
You wouldn't have greater force. That's like one man in a house against an entire police force surrounding you. If you died in a shootout with officials of the workers' state, it would be considered suicide.
I have guns already. Before we talk of having to refuse to give up my guns, what happens if I refuse to be arrested?
What happens whenever